Me and my partner pick a bale of cotton now. Me and my partner pick a bale a day. I jump down, turn around, pick a bale of cotton now. Jump down, turn around, pick a bale a day.
Welcome to the Standing in This Place podcast. I'm Rachel Carter and I'm the artist behind this project, supported by National Lottery project grants through Heritage Lottery. I'm going to be telling the historic tale of the intertwining of the lives of women working in the textile mills of the industrial Midlands and the enslaved women working the cotton fields in the Americas.
I'd like to welcome to the podcast a fantastic artist who I've really enjoyed working with. Welcome, Anisha Parmar.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
I'm very well, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's so nice to be able to reflect on our journey working together like this.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is really nice actually to reflect when you're looking back on something that you've done. And I think we've done, well, if I don't, big up ourselves too much, but a fantastic job.
We really have. It's been a journey. I feel like it's kind of been a journey of getting to know each other, understanding each other's practices, learning how to collaborate, and working with communities and feeding back and kind of reassessing along the way, I think. And that's been really lovely to do together collectively with Ismail as well.
Yeah, it has. And we spoke with Ismail in the previous episode. So if you've not heard that, then do check out Ismail's podcast because it's just really fascinating.
Yeah, he's such a great artist. I can't wait to listen to his.
So, well, let's start with delving into your practice. So tell our listeners, who is Anisha and what is it that you do and create?
Oh, I feel like that's such a big question now because at the moment I'm in the process of reassessing everything I do. So I'd say I'm a jewelry designer first and foremost, but I'm also an artist. I work as a curator, a project producer. I also work as a lecturer at university giving talks. I also run jewelry making workshops. So there's so much in my kind of, I guess, like bag of skills that I do. But at the heart of it all is like using jewelry and adornment as a gateway for connection, for storytelling, for narrative. Jewelry and the use of it really, or the message behind it is really at the heart of what I do. For me, I came to jewelry because I was handed down my grandmother's jewelry. When she passed away, I was given her gold jewelry, and gold is synonymous with the South Asian culture. But at the time, I was about 12, 13. I really didn't understand like the weight of it and what it really meant until much later when I was studying at university, delving into my own family history. And it's only when I started looking at her pieces, I felt her energy and I felt her with me. And that was a really special feeling. And it made me think the power of jewelry is far bigger than just this beautiful, adornment, intricately etched made piece. There's memory, there's value, there's history in this, especially for migrant communities like my family.
Yeah, and that it's so strong, and as you're describing that, holding that piece of jewelry and remembering your grandmother, it's something I do as well. Whenever I've got a difficult day, I always put my grandma's necklace on because it just feels like I've got that bit of support. She's with me, I can touch it, I can feel her close to my heart, and it's that connection. So the thing that I love about your work as well is that you don't use, I would say, the traditional jewelry techniques. And I just love how you're blending the colors, shapes, materials. So give us a little flavor of some of the techniques that you like to use.
Oh, I will do. I think kind of before I get into the techniques, I'll share a bit about why. So I purposefully wanted to use pop colors, unusual materials like woods, acrylics, the laser cutting process, because it was a way for me to explore the British and the Indian, the Western influence using Indian motifs and shapes. So I guess what I'd want my customer, my wearer to think is they see this piece of jewelry, it resembles maybe a rich, intricate piece of South Asian jewelry, but when you look at it closer, it's made of unusual materials. And when you wear it, it's super lightweight, it's not pulling your ears down. But what you can feel is that essence of that mix of culture, which is really me being born in London, in Wembley, such a multicultural hub, very British Asian. That is really the backdrop of what inspires my work. And I think that's reflected in the materials, using the rich textures of the woods that I hand paint, marble pop color acrylics. And then I mix in mother of pearl sometimes and different colors of paints because I hand paint everything. But inspired by motifs I loved, like growing up, like eating mangoes flown in from India over summer, or the jasmine flower, that the smell again just reminds me of India so much. So like taking motifs that bring me so much joy and incorporating that into my work. And I think the essence of all of that really comes through on the other end for my customers.
Yeah, yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, and you can see that. So if people are intrigued, you have an Instagram profile, so people can go and have a look at some images of your work.
Yeah, definitely. Follow me at Anisha Parmar London. I might be dropping the London soon though. So
Oh,
London might be going. London's been Anisha Parmar London, my brand has been London for so long, but I think I'm ready to let the London go now. I'm so like proud and so comfortable being in Derby now. And I think that attachment to London is kind of, it's not fading. London's always going to be an inspiration where I grew up, but I feel like I'm not so attached to it. So
yeah,
just to say,
yeah. You're firmly rooted in the East Midlands
yeah,
now. Yeah.
100%, yeah.
So when we've first we sat over coffee, and I think we had a bit of cake as well, and we were talking about our practices, and I think it was a bit of like a sharing and supporting session, and about where we were both going with our work. And we both had an interest in each other's work and practices, and so we decided that we'd like to work together. But then I think similarly with Ismail's conversation, it was how to take participants on that journey with us, how to create an art piece that was going to be placed in 300 embroidery hoops, and how we decided to have 100 each and then run those workshops. So could you sort of talk us through, some of the techniques that you highlighted within your workshops? Because I really enjoyed having a go, and supporting some of the participants, and I just wanted to do more. I found it so enjoyable, but I'll let you describe what they had to go with.
So it's this layering gold foil technique. So alongside my brand, I run projects and I create visual art as well. And I was exploring, like with my obsession with gold and gold jewelry, kind of gold jewelry on gold foil. So I started developing this technique of layering imagery over gold foil and then laser cutting elements over it to start telling a narrative through the visual artwork I was creating. So that's probably something I did about 3 to 4 years ago. So when it came to doing the workshops, I really still wanted to explore this idea of like adornment and what objects or things we kind of collect mean to us and tell us about our history. And that's what I wanted to draw out of our participants is what is their history? What is their story? How can we use shapes, words, patterns, their own personal imagery to start telling a narrative and a story of who they are? So what I taught the participants was this layering technique, which was on wooden board initially. So each participant got a wooden plywood board that's laser cuttable eventually. And then I taught them how to lay gold foil onto the wooden board. Some of them were way better at doing it than I was. They were teaching me really how to do it. I was showing them my kind of like makeshift way, and they were perfecting it. And then I developed this technique with transfer paper, and it's ceramic transfer paper that you can print on your normal printer at home, an inkjet printer. And then you can use this fixative spray. So you fix the image onto the paper really. And you're developing like layers of this clear lacquer that goes onto these images. And I think that's probably where like the longest prep time was spraying all these images that I was printing and collecting from the participants. And what that does is when they put that printed, like sprayed image into water, it releases the image with a transparent background, which originally you'd put on ceramics and then fixed ceramic with heat, but we were using it on the wood over the gold foil. So you've got your wood, you've got your gold foil, and then you've got your transferred clear image on top. And what the participants did on these big boards, which were about 60 centimeters by 30 centimeters, was cover the whole board with their chosen images and their stories, their words. And they were just obsessed with it, weren't they? I think it was quite a hard technique to grasp, and it was so new to anything they'd done. But I think the more they got into it, the more they really got attached to what they were making. They almost didn't want to let them go to be laser cut. But I think that was really lovely when I was able to laser cut their boards and they were able to see them in the hoops. So essentially what I did was cut them into like circle sized shapes or even smaller shapes to use as adornment to go on other hoops.
Yeah.
That was a long explanation.
No, but it was perfectly explained. It was like that making of a multi-layered cake, isn't it? You know, you've got all of these different elements that are layering up and layering up. But the difference is that you can see through your layers. So you're getting that bits of gold coming through the images. And I think what was wonderful is that when you'd got all of these laser cut components, then you invited another community group to come along and starting to add these adornments onto cloth. And I believe that the cloth that you used also has a real special relevance to your parents. So would you like to just tell us a little bit about your parents and the tradition that they followed within your, their family footsteps that they followed?
Yeah, definitely. So I think along the process of this project, I think connecting to the theme of cotton and connecting to that theme is something that, although I had an understanding of and research of, personally connecting to it, I really struggled with. Like, let's be honest, I think developing my narrative is something I struggled with. But when I really took the time to step back and look at what the participants at ArtCore had created and think to how it links to my own family heritage, it made me think of my family's tailoring heritage. And kind of when we think about the journey of cottons, the hands that it's passed through, how techniques have traveled, pieces have traveled, it rooted in colonialism. It made me think of the migrant journey of my family from India to East Africa into the UK, which was an established route because of the British and railways and colonialism. And how my family stayed alive and made a living through their skill of tailoring. So my grandfathers, my great-grandfathers and beyond were all tailors, and this skill was passed down generation to generation. And my parents, although when they came to this country weren't educated beyond the age of 15, worked in retail their whole lives. When they'd worked in retail for a while in London, they eventually saved up enough to open their own menswear shop. And although they don't make the clothes themselves, it's still rooted in tailoring. So they have tailors in London that make the clothes, and they carefully source these silk fabrics, embroidered silk fabrics, to make, very British, like waistcoats and suits and morning suits for like Ascot and, like posh weddings, which is amazing. It's a 30-year-old business. They've worked very hard to get there. But what I think they felt they had to do was erase their Indian identity in order to create a business. But within these fabrics that they were using, it was inherently there. The colors, the shapes, like everything they use is such a nod to our heritage. And I think that's why I wanted to use the offcuts of these waistcoat fabrics as part of the background almost to a lot of my hoops that these participants at Angolan Women's Group then kind of embellished onto this fabric, because it was telling that tailoring history, but it was also a way of me reclaiming, being proud of the heritage and the legacy and who we are as, South Asians, and not having to erase our culture to belong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it was more deep than I even realized talking about it again now. Yeah.
It is. And, the journey that you've just described for your parents, that blending of those two cultures together, is exactly how you described your jewelry,
Yeah.
those bringing those different elements in, those
Exactly.
colors, those fabric, that choice of materials, the patterns, and that bringing together.
Yeah.
So although you're not a
Yeah.
tailor, you are following in your family's footsteps, and that's amazing to hear, that ancestral journey is prevalent in, I think, both of our work. And
Yeah,
so it's
exactly. And
really,
that's how we connected. It was actually on that, us both, when we both shared about our family histories and how that's like inspiring the work we're doing now. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
So we've both went, well, the three of us, Ismail and yourself and I, went on that journey together with our different groups
Mm.
and brought them all together. And then the job was to install these 300 filled embroidery hoops into a 2-story high installation.
Mm.
And that in itself was quite a difficult task, wasn't it? Just to put 300 units together in an installation.
Yeah. It was an epic kind of thing to do physically, but I think like the idea of it was planted right from the beginning when we saw that space at Art Court, just like how amazing would it be to have this space filled with the hoops somehow. And then when we started installing and laying out the hoops and slowly bringing it to life, and you like meticulously engineered the way this whole structure was going to go up, and the way you were explaining it and the measurements and everything, it was like perfection. So when it came to actually doing it and laying things out, I felt like it flowed so well, although stitching them on took a very long time. As well, I mean, I didn't do a lot of them. I know you did. I did the putting things on the wall more so, but it was amazing to see it come together and be there to see every step of the way. And I think it's only when I saw it all go up, I took a step back and I was like, whoa, like I don't think I had the realization of kind of the all these like parts we were playing, myself, yourself, and Ismail were playing until it all came together in the 300 hoops, and we could all step back and think, okay, this is how our different threads that we were exploring have now come together for this cohesive piece. And it was just so beautiful to see it come together.
Yeah. And I think what was so rewarding is that opening night, we had so many people turn up, enjoy food with us, conversation. But then when we took them upstairs to see, and they were all looking for the pieces that they'd made and pointing out pieces, and the joy on their face was just, the hard work was so worth it, because I think, we'd kept quite a bit of the installation secret from the participants, not
Yeah.
wanting to worry them about the scale of what we were trying to produce. We'd kind of just kept that quite quiet. And then when they walked in that room and saw what they contributed towards, it was so powerful, wasn't it?
Definitely. I think that was the best part of it, was seeing their reactions and them not they didn't know what to expect, because like you said, we didn't tell them. And once they saw what we were trying to do, it was kind of fine, like we get it. We get what you were trying to do, and we're so glad we trusted you in that. And yeah, I think it's amazing to see the reaction of the participants and kind of, yeah, it's, yeah, I all I can say is that it was heartwarming. I don't have like the particular words for it, but that heartwarming feeling of just being like, I was part of this and I held space for you to explore something meaningful for you in a physical creative piece. I think that's so
Mm.
special.
That's a really nice way of putting it, because I suppose as a creative, we're creating our own work all the time. But then I think, because the three of us, Ismail and yourself and I, we regularly run workshops, we share our techniques, and that was the whole point of this one, is to take that community along that creative journey with us and share our skills and our techniques. And it was just really nice that we could do that together, with so many participants.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of my favorite days has to be when we went to the Angolans women's group, and you could hear the conversations around the table, and we'd all set up our stations, and you could sense the excitement that they were going to be able to try all our different techniques. and
Yeah.
connect with us as well. Like they were so excited to connect with us as well as the work. Just the vibrancy, the welcoming that we got, it just felt like you were in a room of family, and we were all just having like beautiful conversations and connecting with food, with drink, with conversations. I think that that's probably like my highlight of the whole project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just been an amazing journey to go on with you, and I just want to thank you for agreeing to be part of this project, to go on this sort of journey. It's been amazing, and I really hope we get to do more work together in the future and continue exploring our love of ancestors, our love of making.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for having me part of this. I've learned so much about myself. I've learned so much about my creative practice, and I've learned so much from you. So thank you as well.
Oh, thank you. So, if people would like to know more about Anisha, I know we've discussed your Instagram handle, but do you have a website where people can sort of delve into your work a bit more?
Yeah, definitely. So my website is www.anishaparmar.com. And there's a lot about me and all the different project work I do alongside running my jewelry brand, all around jewelry, adornment, identity. So please check it out.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, thank you so much, Anisha, for being part of this podcast. And thank you for listening to the Standing in This Place podcast. Do join us again for another episode soon.
Me and my partner pick a bale of cotton now. Me and my partner pick a bale a day. I jump down, turn around, pick a bale of cotton now. Jump down, turn around, pick a bale a day.